As we've got one member of the public present, I'd draw attention to the recording, filming and broadcasting. We don't want to be recorded, filmed and broadcast. Can't believe. Sorry, I was just giving the normal warning to
yeah,
you as a
fine, I
member
can't
of
hear
the
you very
public.
well, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so we've done that. So, right, moving on to the first item, apologies. Do we have any apologies?
No, none received, Mr. Mayor.
Right, thanks very much. Any declarations of interest, councillors? Council?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. I wonder if I need to declare. Sorry, I wonder if I need to just declare my involvement with Park Action Northampton Committee, just for the what was it? The appointments to the Rockhampstead Park Management Committee, item 8.3.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's relevant, but
It might be a bit remote, but we'll
okay.
note it. Thank you. Right. Mayor's report and urgent items. I'd like to just mention two items. These are just charitable things that I've been doing. Obviously the Mayor has all sorts of civic things to do. One of which this afternoon was the Lord Lieutenant presenting the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service to the the St Albans Talking newspaper. This is a charity, if you haven't heard of it, which caters for people who are blind or partially sighted. And what it does is they've got a group of volunteers who read newspapers and record them and prepare various other articles as well, and either put them on their website or send out a stick which people can put into their computer. It's quite a prestigious award. And one other interesting point was that the Lord Lieutenant mentioned that there are, in Hertfordshire as a whole, 150,000 people acting as volunteers in various capacities. Pretty impressive, and compares very, very well with other counties. The second one, which I attended a few weeks ago, was the Human Milk Foundation. I don't know if you've heard of that one. I hadn't. They're based at Rockhampstead on the estate, and they essentially collect surplus milk from donor mothers and give it to those mothers who can't breastfeed babies because of cancer or other medical conditions, things of that kind. I got invited there for their sort of like 1 year anniversary. They've been in operation 1 year. A huge group of people there. There's a load of guys with motorbikes who normally deliver blood to hospitals, and they deliver this milk to generally hospitals where it's distributed to the relevant mothers. Very impressive. They're taking a stall at the Christmas Carnival, and what they're looking to do is to try to raise their profile in Hertfordshire. Terry has given them some money out of her locality budget for some refrigeration equipment, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought you might be interested. I'd never heard of it before. It's fairly low profile, but it seems to do very good work. So I just wanted to mention those two. So, do you have any urgent items, Carl?
No, Mr. Mayor, no.
Right, thank you. Any public questions in accordance with Standing Order 22?
None received.
Thank you. Minutes of the last meeting held on the 24th of June. Oops. Sorry. I need to ask you whether any councillor questions have been received.
Again, none received, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to item 6, to confirm the minutes of the meeting of the council held on the 24th of June 2019, which have been circulated. I need to ask you to confirm, are you content for me to sign those as an accurate report? Okay. Thank you very much. Sign those. of committees and working parties reporting to the council. So we now take these. So 7.1, can I request Councillor Farmer to put forward the minutes of the planning committees which have been previously circulated?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'm pleased to put forward the minutes of the following planning committees: 18th of June 2019, 9th of July 2019, 30th July 2019, 20th August 2019 and 10th September 2019. These were me noting only there were no recommendations.
Thank you. Okay, fine. Right, moving on to 7.2, the Community Services Committee. We're receiving the minutes of that committee meeting held on the 19th of June 2019. Can I ask Councillor Mrs Nicola Lenetka to put forward the minutes?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Delighted to present the minutes. There are no recommendations to council.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 7.3, the Corporate Policy and Finance Committee. We're receiving the minutes of that committee meeting held on the 12th of June 2019, also circulated. Can I ask Councillor Maynard to put forward the minutes?
I'm pleased to put forward the minutes of the Corporate Policy and Finance Committee. There were no recommendations.
Thank you very much. Right, moving on to item 8, officers' reports. The forward planner and resolution tracking. Starting on page 11. I think we've got some amendments for these.
I do, Mr Mayor. So there are some suggested additions to make to the forward plan, should Council wish to do so for the November meeting. The first of those is an item looking at the process for allocating any capital receipts that the Council is due to receive soon. The second item is the next look at the business plan from next year onwards, that we'll touch upon a little bit later on with a verbal update. And the third item is a review of the grounds maintenance contract. The reason we're putting this forward to Council, it's really an information item. We carry out reviews every year. We would like to just make Council aware of some of the challenges that we're currently facing with the contract itself, and potentially put forward some recommendations of how we might like to carry out a bit of a review to check whether we're still essentially getting value for money and getting what we want from it. So this will be an item to full Council for kind of noting really the kind of findings of our initial look into the contract itself.
Okay. So we're going to add that on to the November.
That's the recommendation, Mr Mayor, if Council agrees.
Okay. All right.
And then, Mr Mayor, in terms of the resolution tracker, there are two items on there that I want to give verbal updates on. The first in relation to tree management. The point 2 under there is around the removal of trees adjacent to Peter Express. We've been keeping Council up to speed with this through the information bulletin. They are due to be removed during the first week in October. We'll be carrying out some communications around our normal channels in the next week or so around that, setting out some of the key messages as to why that's happening. So that's an update on that item. The other update on that is in relation to the Sooty Bark disease, which was considered at the last meeting of this Council and more recently considered by the Community Services Committee. At that meeting, the committee resolved to focus on those trees that are impacted that are in the highest priority areas. So if there are any trees that are along the boundary of the highway, for example, we would carry out work to remove those trees.
Because they're a hazard.
Yeah, that's correct, because they present the highest risk.
Yeah.
So on that now, we are going back through that to identify what trees they are with a view to taking those out.
Okay. I've got something to say on number 2 on Appendix B, devolution of assets for Rockhampton. We had a meeting that Councillor Lineker, Town Clerk, myself, had a meeting at their request with Amanda Foley, who's the Chief Executive of the District Council, and Chris White, who's the leader of the Council. one of the things that came up was the devolution of Hampstead Park. Now, for newer people to the council, it's worth mentioning that over the last several years there's been a sort of a gradual process of the district council devolving various assets to parish councils, of which we are technically a parish council. We call ourselves a town because we're a large parish, but to all intents and purposes we're a parish council. Now these tend to be done under fairly standard terms. I know a fair amount about this because the estates department used to be part of my portfolio when I was a portfolio holder at district. And one of the things they always put in there is an overage clause, so that if at some point in the future we want to do commercial development, they share in the profit, in the development profit. Okay. And that's standard because the district council can't just kind of like give away assets. You know, so what they do is they protect their position largely by means of this overage clause. So almost certainly something like that is going to be in the transfer. Anyway, we indicated that we were interested in having Hampstead Park transferred to our ownership and management. And Chris White was content with that. I saw him, I bumped into him very briefly before the last district cabinet meeting and said, you know, what's happening? I haven't heard anything. And he said he'd chase up to see what's happening, but he wanted that to happen by the 1st of April next year. So that's the very latest information I have on that item.
I was just wondering about the other two parks as well.
I think it's, yes. There are two other smaller green areas as well which were included in that, and I think it's all going to be done as a package. Anybody have any comments on that points?
But it's only a small question. Say, for example, if we put a kiosk like a selling teas and coffees in Hampstead Park, do you think that the district council would take profit from that?
Mr. Mayor, I think at this point, if we're going to have questions like that from council, it's probably worth taking them under exempt business, just in case conversation goes down a route that's commercially sensitive and we may wish to protect the town council's position. So can happily provide an answer to that, but it's okay to do that under exempt business.
Okay, we'll take that on under exempt business, Okay, so that's the very latest information I have on that matter. Okay, so what are we doing on this one? So recommendations, note and approve subject to any comments or amendments. There was just that amendment the Carl mentioned about reviewing the maintenance contract. What was the other?
So it's the next look at the business plan, Mr. Mayor.
Next look at the business plan.
And the process for allocating capital receipts.
And the process for allocating capital receipts. So that's 2.1.1. I'll take them both together if that's okay. And then the resolution tracker attached to Appendix B with the comments that we just made about tree management and the Royal State Park evolution status. Is everybody okay with those recommendations? Thank you very much. Okay, now moving on to agenda item 8.2. This report proposes amendments to the financial regulations, which I'll ask Carl to just run us through.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, firstly, apologies to the Policy and Finance Committee. Ordinarily, we would take these through, but given the time through that committee, but given the timing that we've received the new model version and the timing that we've had to go through them, we weren't able to do that for the last meeting. So, apologies for that. But it's important that we do get them considered as soon as possible. So that's why we're taking them through council this evening. They're minor changes. Essentially, we've set them out in the actual report itself under each paragraph. We've also highlighted the changes in the report itself. So I don't believe there are any sort of substantial changes in there, rather sort of small tweaks to the way in which we operate.
Okay, and these are based on standard financial regulations used by parish council. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr Mayor. So the National Association of Local Councils produce model financial regulations. We consider those, and the committee considered them previously. We don't have to adopt all of them. There are certain things that are statutory that we do. However, there are some that we don't put in there. So we're not bound by them, but it's kind of good practice to have a look at them and see where we can align our own financial regulations.
Fine. Well, anybody have any comments on the proposals under 3.3?
Mr Mayor, apologies for raising what appears to be a simple typo, but if it's dealt with now, it's easier than living with it. In 5.4 on page 27, the inserted words, I think it's goods or services have been received rather than has been received. Unless you disagree, in which case it's very important.
Yeah, we're fine with that. So that was 5.4 and 5.7. Sorry?
No, just 5.4.
Just 5.4?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we're fine with that. Any other comments? No further comments. Right, then let's move to the recommendation at 2.1. Council is asked to approve the amendments to the final regulations. All in favour? Thank you very much. Okay. Now moving on to 8.3. Appointments to SADALC and Rothamsted Park Management Committee. I don't know what SADALC stands for. I used to know this. I know they oversee local councils.
So, Mr Mayor, it's the St Albans District Association of Local Councils, so essentially a forum for parish and town councils to come together to discuss kind of common issues and common themes.
Okay, fine, thank you. The Rothamsted Park Management Committee, that consists of three, it's currently a district committee, isn't it?
That's correct.
But we host it. It consists of 3 district councillors and 3 councillors from Harpenden. Traditionally, they are from West Ward, as the park is in West Ward. Of course, this committee will be abolished if the Rothamsted Park asset is transferred to us, so it's probably only got a limited life, i.e. to 1st of April next year, tops, assuming that district delivers on Rothamsted Park. So, right, nominations. For the management committee, I'd like to propose 3 of the West Ward councillors. That's Lisa Scriven, Councillor Nicola Lineker, Nigel Turnbull, the 3 of them. For that.
I'd like to second.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Is that okay? Is everybody in favour of that? Just about everybody, okay, thank you. And then the association of, sorry.
Mr Mayor, sorry to interrupt, but just it may well be a short-lived glory for those people on the committee, but there is in fact a meeting of the management committee on Wednesday evening in this room.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the newcomers have been made aware of that.
Probably not. Hopefully you can make it.
Wednesday, yeah.
Yes, Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday.
Wednesday. 2 days time.
So just to confirm, Mr Mayor, because obviously the appointments haven't been made, no town council has been made aware of that meeting. There's been no appointments to it. So.
Very much aware. I have been made aware of it through the Play Park Action Rothamsted Committee, so I will be there.
Okay, so can we vote on that? Those appointments? All in favour? Thank you very much. And then the second one for SADALC. I think traditionally, I think last year we didn't have anybody and it's not, but we've got a volunteer, Councillor Farmer.
I'd like to propose Councillor Farmer for that out.
Do we have any other nominations?
Don't all rush at once.
Okay. Are we okay with that one? Thank you very much. Rosemary, you have been duly nominated.
Just make sure I get rid of one. If I get back onto another one.
Okay. Right. 8.4, I'm going to pass over to the Town Clerk. There's an update on the progress of a new draft business plan, which having gone through the Community Services Committee and the Corporate Policy and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, as you noted, it has gone through both committees this month. The Council has also agreed to review it again in November. Essentially, the committees, it was well received as it went through the committees. There was only one substantive change or addition that was put forward, which will come forward in the next draft version in November, and that is a initiative or a aspiration, or it's an initiative actually, underneath the Sustainable Town objective, and that is for the Town Council to play a lead role in reducing litter across the town, a specific initiative around that. If Council wishes to accept that addition, we would, as we would with other initiatives, come up with an action plan of how we would do that, both in terms of reviewing what we do already to reduce litter and deal with litter, but also some communication and a campaign around changing behaviours of others, which is something we've already got in process anyway for our communications forward plan.
Yes.
So that's the only substantive addition that will come forward in the November version. The only other changes with the November version will be all the context behind the business plan. So as we've got at the moment, the functions that we have, responsibilities, the land we own, a bit about our finances. So the stuff that's kind of set in stone.
Yeah. I think the amendment about litter was a suggestion by Councillor Priggen at the last Community Services meeting. Okay. I think that's it. So we're now moving to exempt business.